When you take a look at the social landscape, it seems obvious that a lot of people are going to need financial help pretty soon, not just auto executives and investment bankers. But if things get really bad and the forthcoming help is inadequate, people may grow desperate and social unrest may increase. What do you think will happen then? You might not be thinking about it, but the Pentagon is. Welcome to Collateral.
Hello.
It's me. Turn on the TV.
Hey, hang on.
The Senate remained in emergency session late into the night, debating the president's call for martial law. We have in this country a tradition of invoking martial law only when the most dire of circumstances require it. But at what cost?
Last week, the Pentagon announced plans to deploy 20,000 uniformed and armed U.S. troops inside the U.S. by the year 2011. According to the Army Times, the soldiers will learn how to help with civil unrest, crowd control, or to deal with potentially horrific scenarios such as massive poisoning and chaos in response to a chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear attack. The soldiers will use, quote, the first ever non-lethal package that the Army has fielded designed to subdue unruly or dangerous individuals without killing them, unquote. Democracy Now! Interviewed a military public affairs officer who called the overall mission humanitarian, and the sycophant corporate press has tried to cast the move as business as usual, but this is new. This marks the first time an active military unit will be deployed inside the U.S. under federal control. The first 4,700 of these troops, the 3rd Infantry Division's 1st Brigade combat team, started training in October. The full force of 20,000 would be deployed fresh off a scheduled overseas combat deployment in 2010. So in 2 or 3 years from now, a force of 20,000 soldiers straight out of combat will then be deployed as a security force stateside?
So the president made you put tanks on the Brooklyn Bridge?
You questioning my patriotism?
I'm questioning your judgment.
Since the end of the Civil War, deployment of military inside the U.S. has been prohibited under the Posse Comitatus Act. But now, Section 1076 of the John Warner Defense Authorization Act expands the president's ability to deploy troops within the U.S. for the purposes of law enforcement. Because it does this without the consent of the state's governor, what the act effectively does is make it much easier for the president to declare martial law. And those aren't just our words. Those are the words of Senator Patrick Leahy after reviewing the provision. This is more shock doctrine at work. An entirely foreseeable economic calamity sends U.S. states careening to the edge of a financial cliff. In their weakened state, an initiative like this is rammed through, marketed as relief for beleaguered states. But what it really is a dangerous concentration of power in the executive branch.
Good morning. Today, with the invocation of the War Powers Act by the President, I am declaring a state of martial law in this city.
Now, no one thinks that martial law is going to be declared just because a few thousand troops are deployed stateside. But it's the precedent that matters. It starts with 4,700 troops. Then it goes up to 20,000 troops within 2 months. What's to say it'll stop there? When you have a lapdog corporate press and a fear-mongering environment in which the military is repeatedly glorified, well, then the Pentagon can plausibly deny that using force against U.S. citizens is part of the plan. Well, they can deny it right up to the moment that the guns are pointed at U.S. citizens. Then it'll be too late.